Hey Disney friends, it's Amber with Mickey Travels. It's summertime in the Travis house, which means that I can get back to making more videos for you to help with your Disney planning. Now, I've been on this channel since 2015, and I've made a ton of videos that still stand the test of time, as far as dining reservations and resorts, etc. So coming up with new material has been a difficult task for me, but I think I can continue to give you guys the information you need because things are always updating and it's always nice to know what's going on and what's new, etc. But do make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so you can go back and look at things that I've made in the past that are still relevant. And then if things change, I will at some point make an update for you. So today what I wanted to do was take something that a lot of people ask me all the time about what my personal favorites are and make a list of my top 5 things to do in each Disney World park. And this is going to go anywhere from an attraction to somewhere to eat, characters to meet, places to shop, etc. So stay tuned.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Let's start where everyone is excited to be going this summer, and that is Hollywood Studios. Now, I personally will not be getting to go see the Star Wars stuff for a while. I kind of wanted to let the crowds die down before I jump in. So I probably won't be going until the spring of 2020. But of course, we'll have information for you. We know the Disneyland one will be opening this week. So we'll be knowing all kinds of stuff with that opening to maybe kind of predict what's going on with Disney World. So that's number 1 on my Hollywood Studios list is going to be Star Wars Land, in a sense, or the whole area. There's going to be a tiered system when it comes to things that are opening there. As far as the rides, we know the Millennium Falcon ride will be open, and then Rise of the Resistance will be coming later. It's going to be a little crowded. They are going to be offering extra hours as far as when you can stay in that park later. And that's going to be in August through September, just so they can manage the crowds. But there's going to be new food options, snacks, shops, the attractions, and character meet and greets. It's going to make the whole experience fantastic. For those of you who are huge Star Wars fans, like myself, it's going to be something very exciting, and we'll hopefully be introducing more and more things with that with years to come. For instance, I was trying to book a Star Wars tour for a family and recently found out that they have postponed that right now. So that is maybe a hint that in the future there will be a different type of Star Wars tour that they're opening with the expansion of that. So again, different things coming out. Jedi training will still be available, we hope, and we'll know more once Disneyland's opens. And I'll have a video specifically for Star Wars, hopefully in the near future for you. So besides the whole Star Wars stuff that's going on, the single most difficult Fast Pass reservation to get at Hollywood Studios is Slinky Dog Dash right now. Toy Story Land opened last summer, but it is still a difficult Fast Pass to get. The ride is very cool. I do have a ride along on this channel showing you what it's like and seeing Toy Story Land all together on the video as well. I would consider Slinky Dog Dash a must. It's one of the more kid-friendly attractions at Hollywood Studios. It seems as though there are a lot of thrill rides that little kids cannot ride and then just shows, and there's not a happy medium. And Slinky Dog Dash kind of fits into that. So a must-do for those that have kids anywhere from 5 to 12 that fit in that area where they're maybe too scared to ride some of the other stuff. Plus, the area is just super cute. So I recommend at least a walkthrough, and if you can't get on Slinky Dog Dash, Toy Story Mania would be my alternative. So back to Star Wars, another must-do, which is still intact until Star Wars opens and is in the same location, is doing the Jedi training. This is going to be for ages, I believe, 3 or 4 to 12, and you sign your child up in the morning, and they get a designated slot to learn how to work a lightsaber and be a Jedi. They get to wear the Jedi robes and hold a lightsaber and then fight a villain. It's been Darth Vader, Kylo Ren in the past. And you sign up for this outside of Indiana Jones. So usually I recommend doing that very first thing in the morning and then going on with your day and knowing what time you'll be back for that. It is free, it's included with admission, it's a really cute experience and is very popular. So that's why you want to sign up for it early in the mornings. I wish they had an adult version of it because that would be pretty sweet. There's a few things at Disney I wish they let adults do, which I'll have in another video coming up about updates. One of them being like a mermaid school. No adults. Like I said earlier, there's lots of really great shows that are offered at Hollywood Studios, including live action ones. So one of my 5 must-dos is to pick one of those shows to do as a family, and that can be either the Frozen sing-along, Beauty and the Beast, which is my favorite, but Indiana Jones has been there since park opening and is still a classic. They pull people in from the audience. They do a lot of stunts. There's lots of fire. It does get hot. It's very cool, especially if you have younger boys. Beauty and the Beast, and Frozen, if you have maybe girls. Just really cool to see the Broadway production of Beauty and the Beast in the outdoor theater, which is covered with shade. And then lastly, on my must-dos, I would say probably my favorite attraction besides Haunted Mansion, obviously, the Tower of Terror. Now, the people are 50-50 on this ride, and I can understand it. It looks a little terrifying, but it is unlike any other ride in the Disney realm, where you have like this hotel that's been abandoned and is trapped in the 1930s, and you ride the elevator that's supposedly haunted, and then it drops you. And it doesn't necessarily drop you the full 13 stories. You drop a few, go back up, drop some more. But the thrill itself is something that you can't get on any other ride. I love this ride more than any other attraction at this park, and is our go-to for must fast pass, must do multiple times, must buy the picture at the end kind of thing. Even someone who has a queasy stomach like my mom or my husband, who don't really like a lot of the motion rides, love this one though, because it's not the same sickness that you get from like the Star Tours. If you have kids who are in the height requirement, just give it a shot, see if they like it. It is a little dark, which makes that scary, but it is by far one of the coolest sensations. And then at the end, when everyone's cheering and is so excited that it was great and they applaud, it's just a different feeling. Rock and Roller Coaster, I mean, we all have roller coasters at theme parks near us that we ride. The ones at Magic Kingdom, same thing. This is just a completely different thrill, and I love it. Jumping over to Animal Kingdom, which had Avatar Land open a few years back, is still super popular, especially Flight of Passage. Those fast passes are still almost impossible to get in your first few days of your trip, so it's always recommended to maybe wait and do Animal Kingdom toward the end so you can get a better fast pass option, which means Flight of Passage is on my list. Now, it was all talk and everyone that had saying, it's so great, and me telling you, if you've never rode it, it's so fantastic. It really is, and I didn't get to realize that until after I did it. So if you've rode Soarin' before, it's similar to that, where you have a giant screen, but you're literally riding on the back of a Banshee. It's a computerized Banshee, but you're riding on a motorcycle type thing. You're straddling it, and you can feel it breathing on your legs, and you can feel water, and there's smells, and it's great. And again, this is a motion sickness ride for those that get a little queasy, but I felt like because it was so large and it was 3D that I didn't even get sick in the slightest. The wind made my eyes tear up a little bit, or maybe I was just sentimental because it was so great. But the lines are chaotic, so you do need to try to fast pass it, but it is probably people's favorite out of all attractions at Disney World right now. It's just breathtaking and a must-do. Kilimanjaro Safaris is another recommendation. Something we just do every time. It's just something different every single time we do it. I mean, the animals are the same, but you can't control animals. They're just out in the wild. So you ride in a safari jeep and you go through a trail and see different types of animals. And different times of days, it could be different animals that are out and about. Feeding time's usually in the morning, so that's when we like to try to go to make sure they're out. Plus, it's not super hot because we always tend to go in the summer so animals aren't just hiding in the shade if it's in the middle of the day. Lions, elephants, giraffes, all different types of animals are there for you to see and in the comfort of your seat. So it's really neat. The adventure guides kind of do like a little show with it, as if you are in Africa taking a safari. Highly recommended. You can fast pass it, and I usually make it one of my 3 fast passes just because lines do tend to get a little longer during the day. And then if it rains, you are covered the whole time. So it is something to jump on when it's raining. Back in Avatar, there is a brand new quick service called Satuli Canteen, which if you watched my quick service video was my #1 quick service to try, and it made my #1 on my list because of the different types of foods they offer, where it's going to be themed to Avatar. So the desserts are super neat. You get a bowl with like different proteins and different grains. It's just more of a healthy option. It's different than maybe with a quick service that serves pizza, hot dogs, burgers type thing. So be sure to check that out. Maybe do that for they have breakfast. So either do it for breakfast, lunch, or a dinner while you're in that vicinity, or at least go in and check it out, maybe grab a snack. The Lion King show at Animal Kingdom is very similar to Beauty and the Beast. It's very typical of what it would look like on Broadway. However, they do have the actual Disney characters there as well from Lion King. But it's an emotional show. The music's fantastic. It's probably the best show on property. Now for fast passes, not necessary because there is seating on all 4 sides. You're in a square and everything is happening in the middle. So fast passes just guarantees you in that particular seat in the side where the line is also covered. So it's not necessary to have the fast pass, but if you're needing just a 3rd one, you can just pick that. But by far the best show on Disney property and a must do for us every single time. And lastly, probably my favorite roller coaster out of all of the different ones at Disney World is Expedition Everest. And the reason it's probably my favorite is because how smooth it is, and the theming, because you're running away from the Yeti, and the drop it's steep, but it's not like gut wrenching, gonna make you scream kind of thing. It's just fun, and it's in the dark, and you go forwards and you go backwards, and the lines aren't super crazy. So there's a single rider line as well for that. So it is probably going to be a good option to fast pass, just because the other ones, you can only do 1 Avatar, and then usually people grab Expedition Everest or Dinosaur, and then Cali River Rapids or Safari, depending on your family choice. So yeah, it will probably end up being in your fast pass list anyway. But the best, in my opinion, roller coaster on property. Epcot, which is a favorite or a meh for a lot of families, and that I question that sometimes. I know when I'm planning day by days with my clients, some of them just say, well, we're just gonna skip Epcot, or we're gonna do a half day at Epcot. And I can understand if you have younger kids, maybe Epcot's just not as appealing as some of these others with all the attractions. But Epcot for sure is an experience educationally and food-wise that I highly recommend. And so I do have a few rides on here. Soarin' is my favorite ride at Epcot. And then the other 2 Tier 1 attractions are also on this list. Frozen Ever After, which I have yet to ride because I've seen so much of it online and people that I follow on YouTube and from other people telling me about it, that it just makes more sense for me to fast pass my favorite ride, which is Soarin', and maybe jump in Frozen at some point in time. It's located in Norway in World Showcase, while the rest of the attractions are over in Future World, so it is kind of out of the way too. And then Test Track, which I've done multiple times, and I've been to Disney when it was the World of Motion ride, so it's been all kinds of different things at Epcot in that area. But Test Track's pretty neat because you get to make your own car first, and then you get to go through the tests with the ride. Very appealing for younger kids because the roller coaster portion is not too bad. It's just you in a car with the top down going about 60 miles per hour around sharp turns. So that's very appealing. That ride does close often, especially in the summer, because if it's lightning outside, they have to close it. It's metal all around the track part. So those 3 make the 3 of 5, just because, again, Epcot is not more about attractions, but more about experiences. So Illuminations will be ending September 30th of 2019. And Illuminations was my favorite nighttime show out of all of them. I am a band nerd through and through and played music my entire life and just loved the score for Illuminations. And I think that's why it was probably one of my favorites, because I would be sure to be at Epcot at nighttime, even when we were not doing anything else in Epcot, just so I could go hear the music. Or when we stayed at Beach Club, I made sure that we were outside in the area so I could hear it. So they are going to be changing that. It's going to be called Epcot Forever, and that opens October 1st. So if you're traveling before then, make sure you go see Illuminations before it goes. And I'm sure Epcot Forever will still be fantastic. And it's very easy also, I think, to see these shows because World Showcase is so large that there's tons of really good viewing spots for these fireworks shows compared to the other parks where it's very limited. And lastly, you cannot talk about Epcot without talking about the food and the beverages. So drinking and snacking around the world. And that encompasses so many different places. It's not really fair to me just go and drink and eat. There are challenges that people do where they try to get a beverage from every location or a snack, and we've tried that and it just is almost impossible, but it's still neat to go into every country, listen to the music that they're playing there. They have live groups sometimes. Go into the gift shops to cool off and check out the merchandise. Grab a snack. Most of them take the Disney dining plan as far as the snack credits. And then maybe you're traveling during Food and Wine where they'll have different types of foods for you to try. Or you're going during Festival of the Arts where they'll have activities for kids. So again, World Showcase, a lot of people with younger children don't really want to do that because the kids just walking around is not necessarily something fun. There are some rides in some of the locations. Again, Frozen Ever After is in Norway. The Grand Tour is in Mexico with the Three Caballeros. There are shows in Canada and in France, but there's also where you can have the kids do an activity at every location. They have kid area centers where they have like little passports that they can go and do activities at each location. There's also a Phineas and Ferb scavenger hunt in World Showcase, which is not talked about often, but is really kind of cool if your kids are Phineas and Ferb fans. All right, last, Magic Kingdom, which is probably the most popular park at Disney World, so it's not too difficult to pick out 5 things that are must-dos there. So I just tried to group some things together to give you an idea. There are 3 roller coasters that we call the mountains at Magic Kingdom, which is Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, and Splash Mountain. These are all must-dos as far as those of you who are thrill seekers. Out of all 3, the most scariest would probably be Space Mountain because it's in the dark and it's hard to know when you're gonna drop, etc. Big Thunder, it would be in the middle as far as the turns being a little sharp, but it is very capable for those kids who've done some of the more major roller coasters at other parks. And then Splash Mountain just has the one major drop, and it is the water ride. So these are just 3 that you just have to do at Magic Kingdom. They are probably going to be some of the busiest, and then Seven Dwarfs Mine Train would be the other busiest thrill ride there. So I would at least fast pass 2 out of the 3 of these if you are visiting Magic Kingdom. There's a quick service restaurant at Magic Kingdom that's been popular for years since it's come out, and they're ever evolving with what they're doing with it, and that is Be Our Guest. And they have a quick service for breakfast, a quick service for lunch, and now a 2 credit for dinner that's a prefix menu. So what I've done a few times, I've had lunch there twice. I've never had dinner there. And I've also made a reservation there for a very late evening time and only did dessert. You want to go in to at least just see the different rooms and get to walk around and see and take pictures. It's probably the best themed restaurant on property, still super popular with reservations. That's why booking at least 6 months before is recommended to at least get that reservation. There are tons of characters at Magic Kingdom as well as Epcot, and Epcots are a little different. They are located some in the countries, like for instance, like Alice is in United Kingdom and Belle is in France. But with Magic Kingdom, there are lines to meet these characters that you can fast pass. So Mickey and right now Minnie are there for their birthday celebration, which I'm sure will change shortly. So being in air conditioning to wait on Mickey is always a plus, and he's located on Main Street. There are the princess meet and greets where you have 4 to choose from, and they're split in 2 and 2, and you have separate lines for that. So those are also fast pass options. And then you have the rest of the Fab Five dressed in circus outfits back in the circus area with Dumbo. And those don't have fast passes, but again, indoor lines for meeting them. So I think this is a lot better than some of the other parks because most of the time they have lines that are outside to wait, but at Magic Kingdom, most of them are inside. And you can knock out a ton of different characters at Magic Kingdom. Ariel with her fins is located in Magic Kingdom. Merida is also there. And then you'll have different things throughout the year depending on the theme. Tiana is there as well. Marie the cat, Pluto by himself. So tons of options, and you can find all of those character locations on your Disney World app on your phone, and they'll tell you what times they're supposed to be there. Wishes used to be one of my favorite shows at Magic Kingdom. Unfortunately, it changed to Happily Ever After, but it's still a beautiful show, and the projections on the castle are one of the best parts for it. The music itself as well. So finding a spot for this, I do have a video devoted. It was for Wishes, but it can still apply to Happily Ever After to know where exactly you should stand for watching this if you want to go back and find that video. But it's viewable from the front of the castle to see the projections, but for fireworks, you can be almost anywhere in the park and see them. They do pipe in the music almost the entire park. We've done it to where we've stood in front and watched. We've done it where we've stood behind the castle, like near the Beer Guest and Gaston's Tavern area, and seen fireworks in front and behind us. And I've also been on rides that are up in the air and seen the fireworks. So like Aladdin's Carpets or Barnstormer or Dumbo. You can see fireworks going while you're riding those. Very magical experience. A favorite of many people's because of it being right on the castle. You can also see the fireworks from resorts nearby. So another option if you don't or can't be inside the park. All right, and the last of my 5 that are on the Magic Kingdom list are what I just call the classics. The nostalgic feel of doing the rides that have been with either Disneyland or since the beginning of Disney World. And that would be Haunted Mansion, the People Mover. It's a Small World. I know not a huge favorite for people, but you have to ride it at least once. It's like, it's there, and it's Walt's dream from the World's Fair in 1964. You just have to do that. Carousel of Progress, Peter Pan's Flight. It used to be Snow White's Scary Adventure. Oh man, I miss that ride. That's where the princesses are now. But you have to go to Disneyland to ride that now if you want to. They have other ones too, like Alice in Wonderland, a Pinocchio ride. Fantastic. So the classics, stuff that have been around for a long time. The lines are mediocre. You get to sit in an automobile and ride through rides. Just perfect for any age and getting to relax and then see a lot of the cool Disney nostalgia from either the film or the ride itself. I hope this is helpful. This is going to be, it seems like it was more than 5 per park. It doesn't really count as one if you cram everything together, but I did it that way. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions about any of this or need additional tips from anything I mentioned, leave a comment below. I'm pretty quick about getting right back to you on the comments. I am available for planning services if you need a travel agent to work with for your next Disney vacation, and you can email me or Facebook me, and that info is also below. And I make it a point to try to get back to you as soon as possible. And now that it's summertime, I should be able to be with you instantly. Have a magical day. I will talk to you guys really soon. Bye.